So guys, welcome to my channel. It's Kolo again. So in today's video, as I promised before, my promise earlier on the earlier video, we agreed that we're going to create another video concept of using multiple switch to configure VLAN. So also introduce another concept of link type trunk. This is another link type that enable to forward the VLAN IDs from one switch to another using this interface named point A. So this is where we'll enable our link type as trunk, but the rest as C and D will be using a link type access. So right now we haven't configured any VLAN within our switch, so all these switch have freedom to communicate with each other because they belong to the same subnet. As you can see, all the subnets 192.168.1 is similar to each PC. The only thing that differentiates them is the last value. So they all belong to the same subnet, so they should be able to communicate with each other. If for instance, let's try to pin one of the PC here and see. So if we try to ping this PC should be able to ping any of the PC within the network because there's no restriction. We haven't configured the VLAN, so there's no restriction. They are free to communicate with each other. But once we configure the VLAN, there should be no restriction, and some PC will not be able to pin another PC that belong to a different VLAN. So right now, okay, this is a common error, this is a common issue. Whenever you try to start a devices, try to ping a devices, it causes that error. Is normal. It usually happen, but sometimes if you keep on trying, it will pick. So that's a normal issue. So keep trying, and you can see it's now pinging. So it's a normal issue. If you are starting the devices, maybe if the topology is too large, you try to figure out the path, but it's a normal issue. So right now, see, this one is able to pin PC one below because okay, our label here telling us that they belong to a different VLAN, but since you have not yet configured within our switch treating them as they belong to the same subnet, so it can able to send traffic to each other. As well as also I can try to pin something on this side also. You can also try to pin something on this side here. Let's try to pin this. So let's try to pin the dot 3 on this side, and it is also should be pinging. It's because the connection here is direct protocol, so they know this, they just forward the traffic to this destination here. So right now they are pinging, but once we configure the VLAN, this PC here, the PC 3 should not able to pin PC1 because they belong to a different VLAN network. So let's go ahead and do that. So there are some few things you need to understand here when configuring a VLAN for multiple switches. Just remember to specify different VLAN ID like the one I specified here, 10 and 20. Also, the next thing, all the PCs or all the devices should belong to the same subnet. By that I mean, as you can see, 192.168.1, they belong to a class C IP address, and also you can see up to this point, up to the third value, they are all similar. 192.168.1, these tell us they belong to the same subnet. The other thing you should also remember is to specify the VLAN badge within our switches. This is telling our switches that we will going to section, or we're going to segment our PCs or our network into this number of VLANs ID. Like here we have just segment them into VLAN 10 and VLAN 20, so we need to tell the switches that we will going to segment them, and the command that we are using is the VLAN badge 10 and 20. This is the command that we will type within our switch. Then the next thing you need to understand that you need, before configure VLAN, okay, specify the interface to which you want to configure. Exactly. Before configuring, you must specify the interface. For this point, I'm assuming at this point A, we want to configure this interface. We must specify this interface, which is Giga Ethernet 001. If you want to configure this interface within the switch, we must specify it. Then allow port like trunk type and port trunk to allow access plus VLAN ID. So this here, as you can see, I've named here point A. If we want to send this traffic that we are within this area here to forward them to this switch here, we'll use a link type. This is a link type, and this link type, it will be trunk so that it can forward both VLAN ID, which is now 20 and 10. Then the next thing within this section C and B will be using a link type access, because only this PC will send traffic to this interface, therefore we'll be using a link type access. So let's go ahead and configure. So let's come within this switch here, then we'll go to system, then let's name our switch. For this instance, let's name our switch system name, then we'll give it a switch. Let's give it switch 1 and specify the interface. We want to configure this, but before that, specify the VLAN batch. So let's specify the VLAN batch. VLAN batch for this is 10 and 20. Then once you're done that, go ahead and now specify the interface and then configure the interface. We'll say this will using a link type trunk from switch 1 to another switch, but from a switch to a device or a switch to a PC, we will use a link type access. So let's go ahead and do that. So specify the interface Giga Ethernet 0/0/1. We're talking of this interface here, and then once you are in that interface, now specify the port. So let's specify the port link type, and this link type, it will be trunk. So the next thing we need to specify the port trunk allow pass. Now we want this interface to allow the passage of both VLAN 10 and 20. So port trunk allow pass of 10 and 20, allow pass of 10 and 20, and recognize command at this point. Let's see here, allow pass port trunk allow pass. You forget to specify the VLAN, so VLAN 10 20, then you hit enter. So we are good. The next thing we need to specify the link type access for these interfaces here. So let's quit and come back to interface Ethernet, this one here, and Ethernet 0/0/1. So Ethernet 0/0/1. Within this interface, let's specify the port link type. So the port link type will be access. Also specify the port default value VLAN, so it will be 10. For this one it is 10. As you can see here, it's 10. So the port default specify VLAN 10. That's cool. Also go ahead and do the same for this one. This is VLAN 20, so specify the same. So quit, simply need to quit, then come to that interface. For this is 2, this interface is 2, then specify the port link type, it will be access, and then specify the default VLAN. For this is 20. So let's go ahead and specify that 20. Hit enter and we are good to go. So the next thing we need, let's come to this one again, and system. Let's go to system view, system name, name this switch. For this it will be 2. Then again, let's come back here to this interface. It will be Giga Ethernet 001. So interface Giga Ethernet 0/0/1. Then within this interface we'll specify the port link type as trunk. So port link type trunk. So port link type. Before that, we have just forgot something, so let's quit. We need to specify the batch. So the VLAN batch, always remember this, VLAN batch 10 and 20. Then once we're done with that, now let's go and specify the interface. So within that interface, now specify now the port. So specify the port link type, it will be trunk. Then port trunk allow pass. Now port trunk allow pass, specify the VLAN. For this instance is 10 and 20. You're good to go. Now let's configure these interfaces, Ethernet 1 and 2. So quit, specify the interface Ethernet 0/0/1. Then specify the port link type. For this one it will be access. Then specify the default VLAN. For this one here, you can see here is 20. For this interface 001, this interface here is 001. So specify VLAN should be 20, default VLAN. So port default VLAN should be 20. You're good to go. Now for this interface Ethernet 2, default VLAN should be 10. So let's go ahead and do that. So quit, specify the interface. For this one is 2. Now within this, specify the link type, it will be access. And then within this, specify now the default VLAN ID, which is 10. So let's go and do that. So specify the port, it will be 10, and we are done. Now let's try to ping and see if we have now managed to configure our VLAN within our topology. So we'll come back to this PC here and try to ping. Let's ping PC3. Earlier we are pinging this, as you can see here, earlier we are pinging the .1, the .3 PC, which was this PC here. We were pinging it, which belonged to the VLAN 20. So now this PC3 should be able to ping this PC4 because they belong to the same VLAN. So they should be able to ping. So let's try to ping it back and see. Hey, the destination is unreachable. Okay, as you can see, this is the first time. So let's go ahead and do it once more and see. Now it's able to ping. So this PC20 here, this PC3 here within the VLAN 20 is now able to communicate with this PC4 that is within the same VLAN 20 but on a different switch. So then the thing that this PC should not do, it should not pin any PC that belong to a different VLAN. For instance, for this one is 10, it should not able to ping this PC, the .1 PC that belong to this VLAN. This is because this is belong to the VLAN 10 and this is belong to VLAN 20. So this PC should not able to ping this one. No matter how many attempts you try, it should not. If yours is pinging, just know that you haven't configured the VLAN. So let's try one more to be sure of it. It's not pinging. Now let's try to ping PC1. Let's try to ping this PC and try to ping our PC5. They should be able to ping because they belong to the same VLAN. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's bring this here and let's try to ping PC4. I mean PC5 that has an IP address of .1.4 and it should be able to ping. So as you can see, it's pinging, meaning this PC here, PC1 should be able to communicate with PC2 because they belong to the same VLAN. Let's try to ping a different VLAN, for instance 3, and see it should not ping because they belong to a different VLAN. So make sure that only VLAN that belong to the only species or devices belong to the same VLAN. They are the one which are able to communicate. Otherwise, they should not. Let's try one more time to be sure of it, and you can see it's not communicating. There is no feedback because these are two different PC that belong to a different VLAN network. So this is how you can configure VLAN and multiple switches using the trunk link type and the access link type. So this was for today, guys. So go ahead and try practice, remember all this concept. So thanks guys for your time, thanks for watching my videos once more. Remember to subscribe, I really appreciate. Just hit that bell, like, subscribe and comment. So thanks there once more. See you in the next video. So I'll create another videos on how now I'll show you on how now guys you can able to communicate from this PC from a different VLAN. Now we'll be able to communicate to a PC that is in a different VLAN. I'll create another video, but at this point we'll be using either a layer 3 switch or be using a router to enable that communication between PC from a different VLAN. So see you in the next video. Is bye bye.